صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله. صلى الله عليك يا ابن رسول الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة. ما خاب من تمسك بكم وأمن من لجأ إليكم. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فلما وضعتها قالت رب إني وضعتها أنثى والله أعلم بما وضعت وليس الذكر كالأنثى. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله خاتم الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين وحبيب إله العالمين أبا القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. The verse I recited, number 36, from the chapter Al-Imran. So when she brought forth, talking about the newborn, she said, "My Lord, surely I have brought forth a female, and Allah knows best what she brought forth, and the male is not like the female." Now this verse is concerning Maryam alayhi salam. And the story behind the verse, before we get into the main part of our discussion, is that Maryam alayhi salam was born as part of a prayer. Imran, her father, was informed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he will have as a descendant of his, through one of his children, a prophet like no other. And Imran informed his wife, Hannah, that they will be born a prophet. They will have a prophet from their progeny. So his wife took to prayer and she said when she was pregnant, "My Lord, I have vowed whatever child is born to me, this child that is born to me, I have vowed that this child will be a servant to you in the temple." In those days, it was common for men to be born and their parents to hand them over to the temple. All their lives, they would live and serve and worship in the temple. This was common. It was uncommon for any females to do so. In fact, it had never been done before. And Hannah, the mother of Maryam, expected the newborn child to be a son. So she was surprised when the newborn was a female. So she turned to her Lord and she said, I have been blessed with a daughter. And daughters are not supposed to stay in the temple all their lives. Yet she was reassured, she felt inspiration that this is the path to go. And so the youngborn was named Maryam. And she was handed over the temple at a very young age. When she was able to walk, so past the toddler age, she was handed over to the people of the temple. It is said that they drew lots, and the person who was told to take charge of her was Zakaria. Now Zakaria is related to Maryam. He is the husband of the aunt of Maryam alayhi salam. So Hannah, the mother of Maryam, and the wife of Zakaria are sisters. In Arabic we say Zakaria, Adil, Imran. They both married sisters. And so Zakaria from then on took charge of Maryam all throughout her life, until she was born, or she was blessed with a newborn, Isa alayhi salam. And the story from there carries on. So the fact of the matter is, when she was surprised, Allah had planned for it this way. He wanted people to show even the birth of Isa alayhi salam was a miracle. This is why He first brought forth Maryam and then afterwards Isa alayhi salam. Now those ulama of exegesis, those ulama of tafsir have disagreed about the exact wording of this verse, to whom it is attributed. So when Maryam says, and it is a female, the verse then carries on saying, the male is not like the female. Are these the words of Maryam alayhi salam, or are these words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The previous generations, the older scholars, the majority of them would say these are the words of Maryam. But the later scholars, especially, for example, Alama Tabatabai in Al-Mizan, says no, this particular part of the verse is attributed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is saying, I know exactly what is born, and I know, and I am telling you, males are different from females. He's informing to say that yes, he does understand. Now the ulama of tafsir have also disagreed whether this verse, this particular part of the verse, is general or specific to this incident. So when Allah says the male is not like the female, is he talking about this particular incident where Maryam, for example, females should not have been sent to the temple to spend their lives? Or is this verse more general, this part of the verse more general? Are we specifically saying this incident is about Maryam, or no, in general, males are different from females? The ulama of tafsir have disagreed. Again, the later ulama have said, no, this particular verse is about this particular incident. So when Allah says the male is not like the female, he is referring to this incident. Yes, we know that Maryam, a female, should not be sent to the temple. In this case, yes, we understand that males are different from females. However, some people have also used this verse, especially those who attack Islam. They have said, we know Islam treats men differently from women. And your Quran, your book says it. It says males are different from females, or male is not like the female. So what about this then? How are you saying that men or women are equal if this own verse of yours says that men are different from women? Of course, anybody with a reasonable mind will be able to answer, yes, there is a difference between men and women. Differences are on several levels. We have a physical difference. Shape, size, look. These are differences between men and women. We have a physiological difference. Hormones, chemicals inside the body, even the chromosomes. The male chromosomes are different from the female chromosomes. We also have a difference in functions, in emotions, in ability. This does not mean that we say men are better than women. No, we are just saying there are differences. It is the way they were created. We did not create these differences. We are not emphasizing them. These are the way we have received them. When men and women have been created, they have been created differently. There is a purpose for this. It is not for us to say men have better, more suitable bodies, or men are better at certain things than women are. No. Allah has commanded it this way, in His wisdom. So our topic today is going to be about women. And the topic is as much for the men as the women on this side. So men should be listening just as much as the women should be. Now Islam, when it came about, it came to nobilize the people of the time. It came to ennoble the people, especially with regards to their attitude to women. At that time, when women were born, or when daughters were born, most of the men of the time, and we can read the traditions, even some of those later on famous companions, they would bury their daughters alive. They did not want to see a daughter born to them. It is said when a man was born with a daughter, his face turned dark, contorted, very angry. Sometimes he would hit the wife. Most times he would be enraged. And the custom of the time was to take the youngborn and bury her alive. This was how the Arabs behaved at that time. This was the way they conducted themselves. They saw no blessing in the birth of a daughter. And Islam comes about and says, this is haram. What you are doing is wrong. You do not know the sin that you are doing until the day of judgment, when this young child will stand before you and say, what is my sin? What have I done? You brought me to this world and you are killing me? I am a witness against you on the day of judgment. And these men would not realize this until later on. So Islam comes about and says, this practice is haram. Another practice. Women were treated like objects. Women were treated as if they were owned, purchased and sold by men. So when there were battles, for example, this tribe fought against that tribe. And when the losers lost and the winners won, they would say, give us X amount of women. Fulan, 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 hand over your daughter. Fulan, 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 hand over your wives. And they were traded like cattle. Again, Islam comes about and says, this is haram. You cannot do this. There is a aqd for marriage and there's a talaq for divorce. Aside from that, you cannot do with women as you please. It does not work that way. The woman has a right in everything. She has a say in everything. This is incident 2. Incident 3, women were seen as having no value, as contributing nothing to society. A great role model comes along like Fatima al-Zahra. and she teaches women, and she teaches even men how to behave. And we have somebody like Khadija, Radwanullahi alayha. It is said in the houses of Mecca, there is not one person who did not benefit from the wealth of Khadija. Everybody in Mecca that had money, had wealth, some of it came from Khadija. She employed mudaraba. Anybody who looks up the fiqh of economics, kitab al-tijara, there is mudaraba, how to give somebody some money, and that person then use their employment and their skills, and trades go on, and the profits are split. This is what Khadija used to do. She used to give her money to certain people. These people would then employ this money with goods, and whatever profits were made, she would receive a certain amount. So the people of Mecca, every single one of them who had any wealth, some of it came from Khadija. Yet they did not respect any of this. When she became the wife of the Prophet, and when the Prophet of Islam declared his mission, all this was cast away. None of this was respected. So in the time of Jahiliyyah, women were considered as contributing nothing to society. They cost you money. You had to clothe them, you had to feed them, you had to take care of them, you had to protect them, you had to watch where they went. What did they contribute to society? Nothing. This was the view at the time, that women were objects and a waste of money. They were meant for a limited use, and that's enough of it. No different from many of the animals out there. And Rasulullah comes, and a great example is when he is sitting one day, and his daughter Fatima al-Zahra salamullah alayha walks in, and he gets up, he kisses her hand, and he sits her in his place. Can you imagine how much of a shock this is to the men of the time? They were burying their daughters alive, and the Prophet kisses the hand of his daughter and sits her in his place. At that time, daughters were treated like objects. Servants, get me this, get me that. Some people still do this today. But the Prophet showed them this is the correct way to treat your daughter. This is the best way to take care of this blessing from Allah. So the period of Jahiliyyah, that terrible time before Islam, which some elements of it carried on, even later on. For example, we see in the way the prisoners after Karbala were taken, from Karbala to Kufa to Dimashq, treated the same way as in Jahiliyyah. Women were treated as objects, carried this way and that way, sent this way and that way, not respected at all. The same as the Jahiliyyah period. That is why we know the people of that time, and I mean specifically Yazid and his followers, were non-Muslims, because they behaved in the same way as those that did before Islam. This is another proof for their kufr. So these people of Jahiliyyah needed to be taught a lesson. And along comes Rasulullah, and he starts to teach them one by one. And he uses great examples like Khadija and Fatima al-Zahra to assist in this mission. One day a blind man comes to the door of Fatima salamullah alayhi. He knocks on the door. He asks if he may receive any kind of support, assistance. Sadaqah, zakat, something like that. And Fatima opens the door for him. She is wearing her hijab fully. And Rasulullah is standing. He says to her, Ya Fatima, he is a blind man. You do not need to be fully clothed in hijab like this. He cannot see you. She answers him. Listen to this beautiful answer. Young daughters, listen to this. She says, yes, he cannot see me, but I can see him. So even though he cannot see me and I can see him, that means I should put on the hijab, because there is a man there at the end of the day. A foreign man. Somebody who I need to protect my modesty from. Look at this noble example. Even when a blind man is there, she is able to, or she wants to wear the hijab. This is a great example for us to follow from. This is a great example to teach our daughters from. The Jahiliyyah time, this was not respected. Women were looked for if they could dance in a certain way, or if they could sing in a certain way, or if they could move in a certain way, or if they had certain amounts of wealth. This was a woman to be respected. The alima, the fadila, the tahira, no, nobody was interested in her. She's a waste of time. And this is why Khadija had to wait so long until she noticed the attributes of the Prophet. She said, this is the kind of person I want to be married to. This is the kind of person I want to marry. So she tested him. She sent Abu Talib to him. He said, this is a certain amount of money. Khadija wants to employ you. You will go to Sham, take part in the trade caravans there, and bring back what profits you have made, and Khadija will employ you on this basis. The Prophet, he always says it is not a shame to work for your wealth. It is not a shame to go out and work. Imam al-Baqir salamullah alayhi used to work planting date trees, nakhal, palm trees. One of the companions walked past and he saw the Imam sweating. Sun time, heat, sweat, working hard. He said, Yabna Rasulullah, why do you work? We bring you the money, we bring you the wealth. Just tell us what you need and we will bring it for you. He said, no. This is not the correct way. Allah loves for a person to work for their money. Not for a person to sit and use their father's money, or their husband's money, or the wife's money, or their children's money, or their great-grandfather's money, but that they work for their own money. So when they spend it, they feel like they earned it, and they take care of the money. Money that is not respected does not last. Sooner or later, the money will disappear. Bad things will happen. It's called al-athar al-wad'iyya. Those of you who are interested, look up this topic. You will see a lot of attributes to do with money because people are respecting or disrespecting money. Those that respect it, more will come to them. Those that disrespect it will start to lose some of their money. So Khadija employs the Prophet, and the Prophet is not ashamed to work. And he goes to Sham. There are many stories about his trip to Sham and backwards. For example, the Buhayra, the monk, the Christian monk, who watches the signs. He sees certain signs following the Prophet. The cloud moving over him. When he sits, the tree bending towards him. When he goes to the well, what he says, how he shakes hands, how he respects people, the language he uses. These are signs of a prophet. This is one of the stories. There's several stories along this trip of the Prophet to Sham and backwards. Anyway, while there, he takes great care. He's blessed on this trip. He makes 10 times what Khadija used to make on this trip. And he brings the money back and he hands it over to Khadija. He says, this is the Prophet. And she gives him a generous share and she says, I want to employ you again because you have brought me more wealth than anybody else has. You have brought me more profit than anybody else has. You have a blessed way of doing things. And this relationship continues. He continues to work for Khadija. And she sends her servant, Maysara, to watch over the Prophet, to see how the Prophet is behaving. At that time, the Prophet did not announce his prophethood. He did not say, I am a prophet of Allah and my religion is Islam. He kept it secret to himself. His mission had not yet begun. And this servant of Khadija is watching the actions of the Prophet. And he reports back every detail. Finally, Khadija builds up the courage. She sends for Abu Talib. She says, I have a proposal. Among the men of Quraysh, none have interested me except this young man, except this nephew of yours. I believe he has the correct attributes to make a decent husband, to make a good husband. So I want you to take care of this affair for me. So Abu Talib comes over. Look at this wisdom of this woman. She looks for the right husband. She makes a correct decision. She waits for the signs and she says yes. She does not look for a husband who is rich, for a husband who comes from this family, from a husband who has this many degrees or has this many cars. She waits to find the right husband who will make her happy, who will take care of her, who is trustworthy and truthful. As-Sadiq al-Amin. So Abu Talib comes to the Prophet with this proposal. He says, my nephew, you know the status of Khadija among the Quraysh. You know that she is the wealthiest woman among the Arabs. You know. And he starts to talk about her attributes. And she has sent me with a proposal that you become her husband. The Prophet said, I do not have anything, any wealth. And I do not have anything that compares with Khadija's wealth. It is embarrassing for me, this situation. Abu Talib says, I will take care of this. Any other reason for you not to marry her? He says no. And then the wedding goes ahead and these two make a very happy couple. Khadija transfers all her wealth to the cause of Muhammad. When the Prophet starts his message and slowly the Quraysh start to boycott the Muslims, stranglehold them, it gets very difficult. If you were a Muslim and you had a shop, nobody would buy from you. If, for example, you were a doctor, nobody would come and visit you because you're a Muslim. If you had goods to sell, if you were a laborer, if you used to work to earn your pay, you work, for example, carrying things or building things or bringing water, or if you sold sheep, for example, and they knew you were a follower of Muhammad, none of the Quraysh would buy from you. This was specifically written. And one of the leaders of this action was Abu Sufyan. So if you were a Muslim, you were boycotted. Now this has got difficult. We're not talking in the times of globalization. We're talking in the times of medieval times, before that, when people lived in small towns. Very rarely did they leave these towns. You could not just close shop, sell your house and go to another town and start work there. It was very difficult to do so. So those people that were working suddenly found themselves not able to live, running out of money, cannot feed their children, their family. What did Khadija do? Look at this great example. She takes her wealth, whatever she had, and she says to the Prophet, use this in the way you see fit. Whatever amount of wealth she had, the Prophet would spend it in the right way. You needed money, he would give you some. You needed money to keep your shop open, he would give you some. You needed money to sell your house and go to another town, he would buy the house from you. You needed money for your diyun, for your debts, the Prophet would give you. All from the wealth of Khadija. Look at this excellent example. Rather than Khadija saying, no, this is my money, and I'm not going to spend it for you, and I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to buy handbags and shoes with it. No. She said, this is for you and for Islam. This is for you to carry out in the best way you see fit. A wonderful example. Those women who have husbands who are fighting for the cause of Islam, an alim or a scholar or a reciter or a muballigh or a teacher and so on and so forth, you should be proud that your husband is doing such a wonderful job, and you support him with the best you can. Even if a man is out working, Jihad al-Akbar, he's out there working to earn money, support him with whatever you can. Do not make his task more difficult. Buy me this, buy me that, pay for this, pay for that. I want this, she has this, I don't have this. My sister's got this, I don't have that. My neighbor has this. No, support him. You will receive even more afterwards. And this is one of the reasons why Fedek was given to Fatima al-Zahra, to compensate for the wealth that Khadija spent. To compensate for everything that her mother spent, Allah declared that Fedek was to be given to Fatima. And this is another sign that it was a gift. Not an inheritance, it was a gift to Fatima. So this is one excellent example how pre-Jahiliyyah compares with post-Jahiliyyah. During Islam's time, the Prophet used a great example like Khadija. Example 2. We have at those times, women would sit and chat endlessly like some do today. They would waste their time this way and that way. Khadija would sit, wait for the Prophet. The Prophet received wahi. He would come back. The first 2 people to meet with him, Ali ibn Abi Talib and Khadija. They would sit like children by his lap. Tell us, Ya Rasulullah, what was revealed to you? And the Rasul would say this and so verse. And Ali would sit writing, Ya Rasulullah, what is the meaning of this verse? And the Prophet would say, and Khadija would listen. Khadija would write too sometimes. Who is this person mentioned in this verse? What is this verse about? What is the story behind this verse? Explain to us, please. And this is what led to Musnad Ali. If you read in history, Musnad Ali, Kitab Ali, this is the book of Amir al-Mu'mineen. It was the Quran with the additional explanation and commentary that the Prophet gave to Ali salamullah. It was not approved afterwards. People did not want this Quran to be sent out because it mentioned certain names. For example, the Quran says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, Ali would ask the Prophet, who is kafir? Who is this person mentioned here? And the Prophet would say, Fulan wa Fulan wa Fulan wa Fulan. Amir al-Mu'mineen would write this. And later on, when he bought this Quran for everybody to see, they said, no. Fulan is now head of the army. Fulan is now Khalifa. Fulan is now in charge of this. No. We can't let this Quran come out. Sorry. Put this version away. And that is why Amir al-Mu'mineen after that never showed it to anyone. And it is said to be kept with the Imams until Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman. He will bring it forth for us, inshallah. So this second example was Khadija became different from the other women of the time. She would sit with Amir al-Mu'mineen, sit with the Prophet and learn every day what new verse was revealed. Learn the Quran. When the men had left the house and the women would enter, she would explain to each one of them. She was a student before and then she became a teacher afterwards. She would teach these women, this and so verse was revealed. The Prophet said this and this about this verse. Allah commands us to be like this. She became a muballigha as well. In addition to being the wife of the Prophet, in addition to being the helper of the Prophet, she became an assistant in tabligh as well. She knew it was difficult for the Prophet to meet every single person. To meet with the women and the men and the leaders of Quraysh and those who were coming from abroad and those who spoke different languages and those who came from different parts of society. He could not reach every single person all the time. He was not always available. So she said, I will take care of this for you. Some of the women I will speak to. I will be able to teach Islam to. So these are 2 great examples of how women can contribute to society and how they did at that time, which was very difficult for a woman to do so. It was difficult for a woman to become an alima. It was difficult for a woman to spend her wealth in Islam and to be respected for doing so. So this was another change that the Prophet showed to people. This is the way for a woman to be. And when she becomes like this, she becomes more respected. If a woman spends her time shopping, talking, chatting, sitting about in the home, she receives that amount of respect. What is due for her? But if she suddenly becomes Hafidhat Quran, a reciter, Muballigha, a Da'iyah, if she teaches her children. There was a story, I saw this myself, which was produced on DVD by the Iraq Memory Foundation. In 1980, the video is available if you type into Google Iraq Memory Foundation. I think they have the clips online. In 1980, this woman's husband was taken away by the previous regime, the Iraqi regime. Her husband was executed, and she was afraid that they were going to come and take her children away. So what she did was she built a secret room for her children. 23 years, her children were in this room, and the authorities did not know. 23 years. So they were 2 years old, 3 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old. They become young men. They never left the house. They never saw the sun. They never played with children. They never went to the shop. Never. 23 years they were in this 1 meter by 2 meter room. 4 children. She teaches them how to read. She teaches them how to write. She teaches them the correct akhlaq. She teaches them manners. She teaches them history. She teaches them deen. She teaches them aqaid. She teaches them maths. Things that you children now get in the school, this one woman had to do by herself, with no help and quietly, secretly. Even her own family, they did not know. They thought the children ran away. She told nobody. And every day part of her schedule was to teach her children. 23 years after, these children come out, and in this film you see, alhamdulillah, 2 of them graduated from university and they got jobs, and the other 2 are studying in university. MashaAllah, because of this dedication of this woman. This mother gave 23 years of her life to teach these children. What a wonderful woman, what a great example. This woman did not say, I can't do this anymore, this is tiring for me. She realized this was her duty. She realized if she did this, in this life, she has gained everything, and the hereafter she has gained everything. What more does she want in this life? Nice clothes, nice car, nice nails, nice hair. What's she going to do with this when she dies? But now she has 4 wonderful children who will pray for her every single day. And when she is dead, they will pray for her. And people like me who saw this film will say, MashaAllah. May Allah bless this woman. May Allah forgive this woman for all her sins. May Allah make more women like this. What a wonderful example. So teaching is one of the great duties a woman can carry out. Teaching her children, teaching her friends, teaching her sisters, teaching her relatives, her neighbors. This is one of the great duties a woman can carry out. Now if we look at the role of women in Islam, Islam generally has given 3 roles to women, which covers the period of life they live. 1, the role of a daughter. So when the young child is born and she grows up, she is formally now a daughter of the house. What is the roles of a daughter? The role of the daughter is to make sure that she gives her family a good name. MashaAllah, the daughter of Fulan, what a wonderful girl. Look at her hijab, look at her akhlaq, look at her mantiq, look at the way she serves her family, the way she serves her parents. This is, MashaAllah, a wonderful girl. The first role is for her to give a great reputation and good name to her family. So that they say, MashaAllah, Fulan, you have done a wonderful job. Look at your daughter. I wish my daughter was like yours. This is what we want people to say about our daughters. When they go to school and the teachers there see this girl, oh, this is the daughter of Fulana, MashaAllah. Of course, she gets good grades. Of course, she is well-mannered. In her end-of-year report, she receives a great report because Fulana, she's the one that raised her. This is one of the first duties of a daughter, to give her family, her mother, her father, a good name. To behave in such a way that people will always talk good of you. And it's not just for your parents' sake, it's for your sake as well. How many people will say nice things about you? How many people will say good things rather than saying bad things and doing ghibah of you? Instead, they say nice things about you. And nice opportunities will come. And when you grow up, more and more opportunities will come. You'll find the right person to marry. And when you're dead, people will say, Allah yarham fulana. She was a wonderful daughter. She was a wonderful wife. She was a wonderful mother. She was a wonderful neighbor. She was a wonderful sister. So the first of the roles of women in Islam is to be a good daughter, to bring a good name to your family. The second is for you to obey your parents, so that when the father enters the house, the first thing that happens is not a fight. Ya Fulana, why are you wearing this? Ya Fulana, why are you listening to that? Ya Fulana, where are you going? Ya Fulana, why are you spending so much money? Instead, the father should walk into the house and he sees his daughter with a smile. She sits next to him. The first thing that should happen when a father walks into the house is the daughter should greet him. Should kiss his hand and sit with him. Father, do you need anything? How was your day today? What did you get up to? And the father should ask, my daughter, how are you? How was your school today? What did you get up to? What did you learn? What did you write? Can I get you something? Do you need anything? Oh, mashallah, how wonderful you look. How nice your clothes are. This is the correct relationship between a father and a daughter. And you know that daughters are always attached to fathers. In the younger age, more attached to their fathers than their mothers. They feel a bond, a special connection with the father. But some scenes we have in houses today, the father walks in and a fight breaks out straight away between the father and the daughter. This is not the best way to live your life. Neither for the father, neither for the daughter. So the second role is to live in such a way that you obey your parents. Your parents are happy with you. And the daughter is happy herself. Because when you say something nice to your parents will say something nice back to you. When you do something nice for your parents will do something nice for you. Because they see how they are being treated. If my father walks in and I am a daughter and I bring him straight away some water, my father looks and says, mashallah, this girl, look at her attitude towards me. Next time he comes home, he brings a gift with his daughter. Because he knows his daughter is waiting for him. She's going to greet him with some water, with a smile. So he brings a gift with her to give to his daughter. You see, it's cooperation. It's not one way or the other, the daughter's way or the father's way. It's cooperation. Be good to your parents will be good to you. Without you saying something, without you saying, buy me this, I want a gift, I want that, you will get it straight away. And likewise, it is best way for women or daughters, without being asked to, they bring things for their father. Or to assist their mother, whether it is with the housework, with the kitchen, helping there, or outside. When the mother wants to, go, for example, go shopping, to bring food and water and whatnot for the house, the daughter doesn't sit there, tap, 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 on the internet, on Facebook, chatting, MSN, Yahoo, and so on and so forth. Mother, where are you going? I'm going to the shops to do shopping for the house. Mother, I'll come and help you. Straight away, when we say these words, we feel much better. That you are doing something good. And the mother feels, mashallah, I like how this daughter is grown up now. Instead of wasting her time playing all the time, there is time for playing, but not all the time. When she sees her mother in need of help, mother, I will come with you. I will assist you. When she comes back, she doesn't just leave the mother and go back to her room. Mother, I will help you unpack. When she sees something in the house that needs cleaning, she doesn't sit and wait for the mother to come and clean it. The mother is not your servant. The mother is not your cleaner. She does not work for you. You should clean it yourself. I have seen scenes, I have heard of scenes, when something is there. Mom, something spilt over there. Can you clean it up, please? Or Mom, my clothes are dirty. Can you wash them for me? Mom, can you iron this for me? Mom, my shoes over there. Can you get it for me? Mom, I haven't done my bed. Can you do the bed for me? Ajib. Since when did the mother become the cleaner of the house? This is something you should be doing. When you see your mother doing this, say, Mother, I can do this. It's not a problem. You do something else. I can take care of this for you. Instead, no, the daughter expects the mother to do everything for her. This is not what we mean by the role of daughters. Not for them to become queens while their mothers become servants for them. The role is for them to respect their mothers and fathers, for them to listen, to obey, for them to make their mothers so happy every day they see their daughters. Rasulullah says daughters are barakah, blessing. So do not become the daughter that is a niqmah, the daughter that is a disaster for the household, that brings a bad name or behaves in a bad way, or people in the school know, oh, this is the daughter of Fulan. They have a problem, this family, because their daughter is like this. No, you should always be the point that people will say, mashallah, correct tarbiyah, that is the way to go. This is the example of Fatima Zahra sallallahu alayhi. You know what the Prophet calls her? Ummu Abiha. After the death of Khadija sallallahu alayhi, Fatima was not more than 5 years old. The maximum age the riwayat say she was 5. Some say she was 2, some say she was 3, others say 4, but nobody says more than 5 years old. 5 years old. And the way she behaves with her father calls her Ummu Abiha. The way a mother treats her children, her son, Fatima treats her father as if she was the mother and he was the son. Rasulullah comes back. He's gone out to do tabligh in Mecca. Some people have thrown dirt on him and trash and rubbish. He comes back home and Fatima takes his cloak off. She washes the cloak. She washes the Prophet's face. She washes his feet. She washes his hands. And she sits with him, comforts him. Ya Rasulullah, this is a difficult mission. I am with you. Ali is with you. Your companions are with you. She comforts her father. And her father gets energy. When he sees his own daughter supporting him, he remembers Khadija, the support of Khadija. And he goes back out to spread the message. And he comes back and he finds Fatima welcoming him with a smile, sitting him down, bringing him some food, taking care of him so much that he remembers his own mother. He remembers Khadija as well, his wife. That's why he calls her Ummu Abiha. Nobody had treated him like Fatima. He did not see a woman like Fatima. So be like her. Those of daughters out there, be like Fatima. We say that Fatima and Zainab and Khadija are role models. Take one of these attributes. Act like Fatima. You'll be treated like Fatima. When the Prophet kisses the hand of Fatima and sits her in his place, it is because Fatima has been such a wonderful daughter. You want to be like Fatima? Act like Fatima, you'll be treated like Fatima. You will receive what Fatima received. Blessings and love and attention. But behave like somebody else and you won't be treated like Fatima. Behave like any other daughter out there. Sometimes you listen, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you take care of your parents, sometimes you don't. And the same will happen to you. Sometimes your parents are good to you and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they remember you and sometimes they forget. So one of the roles, or the first role of a woman in Islam, is being the role of a daughter. You have been brought into this life to act in a certain way. The second role is to be that of a wife. You're not forced to marry, but it is the sunnah of the Prophet, it is the way humanity has proceeded for a young woman to enter into marriage to the right person. No woman should be forced to marry, that is very clear. No woman should be forced to marry somebody. It should come with the consent, with the explicit consent. Even Rasulullah, even though he knew it was decreed from as-sama that Ali was to marry Fatima, he asked Fatima her permission. Even though he knew this was what was going to happen. Even though Jibreel commanded him to marry Zawj al-Nur min al-Nur, he was commanded, ordered. He was not asked. He was commanded to marry Fatima to Ali. Even though this had happened, he went and asked Fatima her permission. Because this is the sunnah, this is the correct way to proceed, to ask the daughter the permission. So once a suitable man is found and the wife marries, this is where the job begins. How to keep yourself respectful and to behave in such a way that everybody says to the man, MashaAllah, what a great wife you have. MashaAllah, what a great family you have. One of the ways he's doing this is not to all the time to the husband. The husband walks in from work, he's had a long day, and it's chat straight away. Where's this? Where's that? Why are you late? Where are you going? What have you done? Did you do this? Did you do that? Have you forgot this? Did you buy this yesterday? Didn't I tell you about so-and-so? Let's go visit Fulan. And on every single day. This is one of the factors why some men then send their attention somewhere else. Because the women sometimes forget to welcome the man with a smile, sit him down. Afterwards you can tell him about what's going on. But not the first thing as soon as he walks through the door. Blah, 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 blah. The man immediately is thinking, oh no, I don't want to face this. Turn the channel, I want to go somewhere else. I'll leave the house. That's why some men come home late. Because by then the wife is asleep and he can walk in and do what he wants and go to sleep. Not all wives sleep early. Most of them wait for the husband. When he gets in, blah, 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 and again. So the first thing you can do is to put yourself in his shoes. You've had a long day at work and you come in. Do you want to have somebody have a go at you, or do you want to be welcomed with a smile, with some nice attention, warm attention? And then afterwards, you can move on to other things. 2, the wife should always be respecting her husband's reputation and name. Not on the phone to her friends, oh, my husband did this, and my husband said that, blah, blah, blah. And he goes to meet his friends or goes to work, and he hears from Fulan. Yeah, you did this the other day. How did you know? My wife told me. How did your wife know? Oh, your wife must have told her. What a position the husband is in. How embarrassed is he? How angry must he feel? That his wife has gone and told somebody something, and that person has gone and told somebody, and finally the husband in front of the public, so-and-so's story is known about him. What position does he feel in? Not nice. Not nice at all. So when he comes home, is he going to be happy? No, he's going to be angry. And when he's angry, bad things happen at home. Last time, Allah, things go into violence. But before then, even before that, several bad things can happen. Either he does not pay attention, he does not talk to the woman, he takes it out on the children, he does not come home for a day or comes home late, and so on and so forth. And the simple mistake was that she said something to one of her friends. So for you to achieve happiness at home, do not say everything between your husband to somebody else. your sister or your mother or your friend or your neighbor. Keep these affairs between you and your husband. That's why when the husband goes out and comes back, he feels his wife is the most trustworthy person there. He will tell her everything. He will tell her every single thing in his life. Believe me, a woman can own the husband with her akhlaq, with the way she behaves. But she can also lose him like that. Just like that. Because she sometimes does not use her judgment. Says a silly thing. Says bad words, for example. Replies in anger. Takes out her anger on the husband. So this we must be careful of. The third thing is that you will bring up your children so much so that when the husband comes home, half his job is done. Half his job is done already. Because he sees the daughter having good manners, he sees the son having good manners, he sees them wearing good clothes, behaved in a certain way, they've started to learn some Quran, learn some deen. When he comes, the base is already there. He does not have to start from zero. He's thinking, how am I going to teach my son Quran? He knows nothing. His time is spent on YouTube, listening to, I don't know what is it now, Justin Bieber, I think everybody's listening to these days? Yeah. Or MySpace. Why? Because the mother is busy with the house and she's thinking, kids, the husband will take care of them. It's his job. It's not my job. I cook, I clean, I take care of the house, blah, blah, blah. Let the husband take care of the children. So the husband comes home and he has to start not from zero, from minus, because the children are way behind. What a great example would be if he came home and saw his children already learning Quran, learning deen, having good manners, having good akhlaq, knowing something about Imam Hussein, knowing something about the Ahlul Bayt. So when the husband comes home, and yes, it is his job to teach his children, he can see half the job is done. When he says to them, read this surah, they know some of its words, they know how to recite. When he says to them, today is, for example, Wiladat al-Imam al-Hasan salamullah alayh. They know, yes, we know who al-Hasan is. He's the son of Ali and Fatima. He's the second Imam. He's so-and-so. He has some background knowledge, this son or the daughter. But if this is not there, how much more difficult is the husband's job? Now this does not just apply to women who stay at home. This applies to women that work as well. Islam does not discriminate against the woman that works. Neither positively nor negatively. If you work, this is good. In this day and age, women need to work. Not all of them, but most women need to work. It is difficult out there. Times are difficult. Women need to earn, men need to earn. So the husband goes to work, the woman goes to work. But when you come back, do not forget your obligations. Again, it's by cooperation. It's not one way or the other. The woman comes back, I'm too tired to do anything. The husband, you do everything. And it can't be the other way either. The husband comes back, the woman comes back from work, and the husband wants to act with the wife as if she's been home all day. Where's the food? Why is my clothes not ironed? Why is the house not clean? Why this, why that, why that? Your wife has been working as well. She's been working 10 hours maybe. She's left from the morning with you and she just came back. Sometimes before you, sometimes after you. Give her a break. Help her. Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullah alayhi, how did he behave with Fatima al-Zahra? Did he come and put his feet and say, Ya Fatima, bring me this and bring me that? No. Fatima would cook. Amir al-Mu'mineen would clean. Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullah alayhi would clean the house. This is not me saying it. Look at the riwayat. Go back to the narrations of Ahlul Bayt. Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullah alayhi, with his blessed hand, he would clean the house. Fatima would sit trying to make bread. Amir al-Mu'mineen would take care of the children. Not like the men now, get a nanny, get a cleaner, get whatever, babysitter, she will take care of the children. When the wife is ill or when the wife is working. Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullah alayhi, this great Imam, the greatest wasi, the greatest Imam of all time, he would take care of his own children when his wife couldn't. He would share the work with her. This makes a happy household because the wife that's been working for 10 hours comes back, she sees this behavior from the husband, she says, okay, then this is what I want. I have a partner in the house. I don't just work on my own. So she cooks and cleans on top of her work, on top of the job that she has. But provided the husband takes part as well. Your wife is not a servant for you. She does not work for you. You do not employ her. You buy her some clothes, you buy her some shoes, you buy her some makeup, whatever, and you think that she works for you, she cooks and cleans. That's not the way it works. It has to be in partnership. Give and take. You give something, you take something. If it's just take, nobody's going to give you something eventually. Eventually it will stop. And the reason why some marriages are unhappy is because one side is giving and the other is taking and no giving. Or both sides are doing taking and there's no giving. The first reason is that you should be working in cooperation. You are husband and wife. Not wife and wife, not husband and husband. You are husband and wife. Some marriages, it's all wife. Wife. She's the master of the house. Fine. But then the husband is not behaving in a certain way. And sometimes the other way. It's all husband, 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 and the wife is invisible. So the key to a successful marriage, the second role of a woman in Islam, the wife, is cooperation. You don't need to go now and tell your husband, so-and-so said on the minbar, cooperation. So from now on, you cook, I clean. You iron, I sit and watch TV. We have to share it out. And for 15 years I've been doing it, let's divide it up now. No, that's not the way I'm saying it should be. It should be an understanding between you two. It depends on your workloads, it depends on how many children you have, what the condition of your household is. And you children, you have a role as well. When you see your mother and father working so hard, make life easier for them. Don't add to them. When you see they have problems or stress, and they both work 10 hours or 12 hours a day, and they come home tired, don't add to them. Mom, make me food. Mom, I don't want this. This is yesterday's food. Dad, buy me this. Dad, take me out to play football. Mom, take me over here. Mom, leave my room. Don't add to their problems. Make it easier for them. There's food there. Mom, it's okay. I'll eat yesterday's food. There's food in the fridge. I'll heat it up myself. You daughters, if you see your mother working, help make some food with your mother. Before she comes back, prepare something for her. Prepare a salad, prepare some meals, so that when she comes back, she sees some of her work done. How much happier is the mother there when she sees her daughter taking part in the housework, helping her? This is the correct way to behave. This is a happy household. And believe me, the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen was the happiest of all. He would come home and he would see Al-Hassan, Al-Hussein, and Fatima al-Zahra, and Zainab, and Kulthum. They had no money. They lived on almost handouts. Handouts meaning what they could get from the Prophet, and here and there Amir al-Mu'mineen would sometimes work. Sometimes he sold his weapons, sword or a shield, just to live on. He would go and put water on palm trees, and people would pay for him to do this. A laborer, amil. Amir al-Mu'mineen sometimes was an amil. He worked for other people. No shame. He brought money home. And yet this house was the happiest household of all. You would not find the house happier than this. Because they worked in cooperation. Everybody loved each other. Everybody loved this household. They wanted to be in this house. So this is the second role of a woman in Islam. I'm going to speed up a little bit. The third role is the role of a mother. This example I told you about, this woman in Iraq, 23 years, what a great example. A mother. When they say the doors to heaven lie under the feet of the mother, make it true. Make it serious. Not make it the doors of hell lie underneath the feet of mothers. Make it true, yes. Why? Because the mother takes care. You are a mother not just to your children, you are a mother to your husband as well. You behave in such a way that your husband thinks of you as his mother. The dearest person to a husband is who? The mother. Yes? The dearest person to a husband is his mother. He's always talking about his mother. My mom said this, my mom said that. Oh, you can't cook like my mom. Oh, you don't look my mom. You don't behave like my mom. Blah, and the woman is sitting there, when is his mom going to disappear? Yeah. It's natural, it's normal. We understand this. So be such a person so that the husband is talking about you all the time. He goes to his mother and says, my wife this, my wife that, my wife did this. And the mother's thinking, But good mothers will say, yes, alhamdulillah, I chose this wife for you. Or, I like this wife. I'm happy with her. She's a good daughter-in-law. Be so that you replace his mother. You can't replace her in everything, but in his daily list of actions, daily thoughts, you are there. You are number one. Alhamdulillah, what a great wife I have. Even with the husband, you can become like a mother to him. The children, when they see their mother, her hijab, her modesty, her behavior, what she teaches them, many years afterwards, when they grow up, they become good members of society, they can attribute it to their mother. I know a person who, his mother died when he was young. His mother died in his teenage years. He was 18, 19. But he lost his father at a young age. He said, my mother brought us up. He's now in his 60s. Every single day he recites Quran for his mother. Every single day. What's that, around 40 something years of Quran? How many times did he finish the Quran? Every single day. How many days in a year? 365, multiply that by 40 years. I don't know how many thousands of days. Every single day he recites Quran for his mother. A page and a half, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. And I said to him, alhamdulillah, this is a great attribute. How have you kept this up? He said, because me, whoever I am today, and he's mashallah, a wealthy man, well off, he says, everything I have is because of my mother. I would be nothing if it wasn't for my mother. So the minimum I can do is remember her every day. And I have nobody else to remember. I don't remember anybody else. I only remember my mother. Because she was there when we needed her. She made us who we are today. We are successful, we are famous men because of my mother. So that after she is dead, 40 years after she's dead, he still remembers her every single day. And he built her a nice grave. And every year or every 6 months, he goes to visit her grave. He has a majlis in his house. Always he tells the khatib, recite a Fatiha for my mother. He has a nice picture of his mother on the wall. So people say, mashallah, this is your walidik, this is your mother, Allah yarhamha, let's recite Fatiha for her. He's kept his mother's memory in his heart, in his mind, and has not forgotten it. Be like this. Be this kind of mother. Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullah alayhi, even after Fatima dies, every single time he remembers Fatima. Anytime something happens, remembers Fatima. Al-Hassan and Hussein, remember their mother Fatima all the time. Our mother said this, our mother said that, she treated us this way, she treated us that way. Not even that, they carried this on. So even the great-grandsons, the Imams who did not see Fatima salamullah alayhi, we're talking about Imam al-Sadiq, Imam al-Kadhim, Imam al-Rida, they talk about Fatima all the time. Not because she's their grandmother, but because they heard from their fathers how a wonderful mother she was. She would take care of the children this way, she would prepare their food that way, she would teach them certain things, she showed them love. Famous stories of how when the Ahl Bayt had nothing, still as Zahra salamullah alayhi tried to provide food for her children. She would take her own share, whatever food she had, pieces of bread, she would take it apart, split it, give some to Hassan, give some to Hussein. And she would sleep hungry. And Hassan and Hussein did not know this, but later on they knew this was their mother. Where else would they get the food from? And they remembered this all their life, which is why, salamullah alayhim, they cry for Fatima a lot. Their remembrance of Fatima and Ahl Bayt's history is repeated so many times. Days and days the Imams would sit and they would ask the Khatib, the Na'i, the reciter, the poet, recite something about our grandmother Fatima salamullah. Imam al-Sadiq used to have majalis. يضرب لهم الستار, he would put something like this, sitar, and the women would sit here and the men would sit here, and he would say to the Khatib, recite for us about Fatima salamullah. And the Khatib would, and the Ahl Bayt would sit and cry because they remembered who their mother Fatima was salamullah, and that there was no example like her. And that is why so many of them named their daughters Fatima. The most beautiful name you can tell, or you can name your daughter, Fatima salamullah. It is the most beautiful name. Fatima is Zahra. Zahra or Fatima, beautiful names, because they are the names of Fatima salamullah, the mother of Ahlul Bayt. And she acts as the link between Imamah and Nubuwwah. So this is the third of the possible roles, or the natural roles that a woman has in Islam. The daughter, the wife, and the mother. Now you can combine so many other things with this, but if you do just these three well, you've reached a good station. You have guaranteed yourself Jannah, inshallah. You can become more. You can become a teacher, like I said. You can become an alima, a fadila. You can become a successful community leader, a businesswoman, a teacher at university, and so on and so forth. You can write a book. There's much more you can do. There's nothing to stop you. And the most wonderful thing you can do is to teach, to have knowledge yourself. I mean, when he says, لَا الْفَضْلِ إِلَّا لِأَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ فَالنَّاسُ مَوْتَى وَأَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ أَحْيَاءُ. Everybody is dead except Ahlul Ilm, the people of knowledge. Because you die, people forget you. But if they can read your books, you will never be forgotten. We talk about, for example, Aristotle. Aristotle, you know how many years we're talking about? More than 4,000 years, 5,000 years. And still now, every day, people read his books. People talk about him, mention his name. He's been dead. We don't even know where his body is, but we remember this man's name. Because he was an alim. And in this way, you can live forever. Even if you die, people read your works. People can say, Fulana taught me, Allah yarhamha, she was my teacher. Fulana taught us Quran. Fulana taught me when I was a child at school. Allah yarhamha. How many years will this carry on for? How much thawab will you receive? How much blessings will you receive? So it does not stop with these three roles, but these three are the essentials. If you are able to do these good and the correct way, what more do you want in life? You will receive so much happiness. Al-Hussein salamullah alayhi says, there is no house happier than that with Sukaina and Rabab in it. Sukaina his daughter, Rabab his wife. He says, this is the most happiest house I have. Because his wife treated him so well, because his daughter treated so well. And he was so happy there. Which is why even when we read Maqtal Imam Hussein, we see the relationship between Sukaina and Imam Hussein. Her name is always mentioned. Because they were combined, they were partners. Father and daughter. She follows him from Medina to Mecca to Karbala. And their final goodbye is always Al-Hussein and Sukaina salamullah. One of the daughters of Al-Hussein did not make it with him to Karbala. Her name is Fatima Al-Alila, the sick or the ill Fatima. She was young, maybe 5 years old, maybe less. And she was unwell. she had fever and she did not feel well enough to travel. So Hussein said to her, you must stay with some of the rest of the family members. You cannot travel with me. And she clung on to her father, Imam Hussein. She clung on to him because she saw Al-Akbar going, Al-Qasim going, even the young infant Al-Asghar going, Zainab, Kulthum, Rabab, Sukaina. Everybody is going. She did not want to remain behind. Father, please take me with you. And Hussein sits her down and he cries. Because he remembers his mother Fatima Zahra. She is named Fatima after his mother. And he remembers the final farewell he had with his mother. This daughter is now saying goodbye to him. He remembers the goodbye with Fatima salamullah. He remembers when Amir al-Mu'mineen says, Hassan, Hussein, Zainab, Kulthum, come and say goodbye to your mother. And Hussein sits on the chest of his mother crying. Deep cries, deep tears. Because he remembers how good his mother was to him. Because he will never see his mother again. And that is why she asks, salamullah alayha, to be buried only with these people in attendance. Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, idfinni laylan la nahara, sirran la jahara. إذا هدأت الأصوات ونامت العيون. She asked him for a private burial because some of those who oppressed her were in the town. She did not want them to attend. So she asked for a private burial. The only people that were there were Ali and Hassan and Hussein and Zainab and Kulthum. What a sad, what a tragic farewell. This is Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen. She should have a tashyi', a fatiha like no other. Instead it is private and nobody knows where her grave is until today. We are unsure where her grave is because that's part of her secret. She wants to know everybody. She wants to tell everybody, my grave is secret because I was oppressed. I should have been buried. I should have a grave. I should have a huge mosque built around my grave. But I am buried secretly and nobody knows because I was oppressed so much. I want you to remember this, not to be forgotten. So this is one of the tragedies of Fatima Zahra. There are lots of important aspects, happy aspects, but let us not forget the sad aspects of Fatima. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. Let us recite Al-Fatiha after the salawat, remembering those who took part in the majalis, those who could not take part this year, those who were with us last years and previous years, those who have helped in this majalis, those who have helped to keep up the memory of Imam Hussein. Let us recite Al-Fatiha with salawat.